So I am here in the famous Sojourners in Denver. This is where we have our MRT, and Walt Hastings is one of the regular guys, and Walt is also a cohort leader with a cohort that's made up of folks in Africa, and some really cool things that are going on there, and we'll be sharing more about that as we go along. But Walt, I'd like you especially to talk about this conversation. You were doing some coaching with one of the guys, and sort of right in the middle of that, you had this spontaneous thought that you're kind of thinking is from the Lord. So I'd like you to share just a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, a little over 2 weeks ago, I was on a coaching appointment with one of the African leaders, and we talked. He's a part of this cohort apprentice group, and we talked a bit about that, and we still had about a half hour left of our time. And so I asked him, is there anything especially on your heart and mind that you want to talk about? And he thought for a moment and said no. And I really didn't have any clear clue where to go, so I just said a silent prayer, Lord, show us what to talk about. And suddenly the idea of microloans and co-ops using microfinance popped into my head. So I asked him, what do you know about that? And he said, well, I know quite a bit. My wife knows even more. And so as we spent the next 20 minutes or so talking about that, I said, why don't you write up a proposal for that, and perhaps I could help you find some funding for it. So he sent me a proposal the next day. I looked it over. I began talking to some other people. About a week later, I was out on a walk, and I just suddenly, very clearly, the Lord broke through and spoke to me and said, you ought to encourage house churches in Colorado to adopt a house church there in Kenya and help finance the funding for the microloan co-op. And so I have shared that with a number of people, and it's been very positive received, and so we are moving toward that, and it's to me just a really great example of how mission comes out of listening to the Lord.
And what's the relationship between these microloans and church planting and house churches, and how do those things fit together?
Well, this particular church planter, he's planted 40-some house churches, and he has a vision for wedding evangelism and house churches with microloan concept. And his idea is he will go from village to village and plant house churches and give small loans to the leaders of these house churches so they can start businesses, and that they will be a blessing both spiritually and financially to the folks.
Very good. And so you'd be open to, if there's some other people in the apprenticeship who this kind of resonates with them, whether they're in Colorado or not, you'd be interested in maybe working together with them to continue to develop this idea and see where it goes.
That would be wonderful.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So it kind of picks up on the idea we talk about of mission flows from listening. It's not something you sat down and strategized. It's something that the coach brought to you.
Right.
Very good.